Can I be heard? All right. In this week's Torah portion, it's about Torah, Bechukotai, God outlines God's commandments and offers the people a reward for following them, the blessings of rain, peace, victory. God also provides a warning to the people who reject those commandments, a list of curses so terrible that the Torah reader traditionally chants them quickly and in a whispered tone. God warns that exile is part of the curse, but with a permanent covenant, he promises, I will not cast them away. Our tradition teaches that we are responsible for one another and for repairing this world. We are commanded to seek justice. We're instructed to free the captive. We take tzedakah personally, asking, if not now, when? And if not me, you. We answer, Hineni, I am here. At the Shabbat service on September 28th, as the hearing on then nominee Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh were underway, and the Me Too movement was about to get a jolt of attention, Rabbi Sissenwein included a few words before starting the Mishnah Beirach. He added a prayer for those who suffer in silence and their need to heal in so many ways. After enduring a week that had been brutal and triggering, the inclusion of those suffering in silence reduced me to tears. I made a promise. If I ever spoke about this in public, I would do so in this room, in front of this community, surrounded by the people that I love and love me back. It has been 8 months since Joel gave voice to those suffering in silence, and tonight I will fulfill that promise. Tonight I break the silence. I will spare you the details. This is not the time or place to share things that will make your stomach turn or your skin crawl or your blood boil. Time stops. When a child is sexually assaulted, the trauma is so severe that part of that child's brain ceases to develop. That child, without even understanding the physical abuse taking place, is literally frozen in time, where she or he will psychologically relive that assault over and over again for the rest of his or her life. The result is that the victimized child living within a grown adult will respond to the world as if she or he is under attack, fight, flight, or freeze, often without knowing it. This adult responds to emotional triggers with a single reptilian purpose: survival. The trauma that broke that child decades ago plays out for a lifetime. Fight, flight, or freeze. That child's life is determined then and there. Everything is seen through that singular lens of survival. It's battle stations all the time. It's exhausting and corrosive. It destroys you day by day, and hour by hour. The impact is hauntingly life-lasting, devastating, destructive, and then quite often passed on to the children and grandchildren. The only thing that gets the clock moving again is quality mental health and support. We are a community that celebrates coming together and prides itself on taking care of each other. Earlier we prayed, usually we pray, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. And it's in that spirit that our mental health initiative that Karen mentioned takes shape. Like most of you, I consider myself lucky to live in Massachusetts, a comfortably accepting and inclusive place that enjoys the best medical care in the world. Our medical prowess has almost mythical power. Surely we have the mental health support that our population requires. The reality is hard to believe. Someone needing intensive mental health care will face a daunting disarray of fragmented and inadequate services. When it comes to addressing the trauma of childhood sexual assault, that reality is compounded and grossly uneven. A child assaulted today will have support today and tomorrow. A child assaulted decades ago will struggle as an adult to find help, and in Massachusetts, find almost no help at all. When it comes to the sexual assault of boys and men, the crushing pain seared into them as men, there is almost no help, no options, no experts, no programs. In Massachusetts, the state that first broke the silence around clergy sex abuse 15 years ago, where there are thousands of men that were savagely abused as boys, there are virtually no resources for those men. They are cast away and forced to suffer in silence. Here in Boston, there is not a single male childhood sexual assault specialist, support group, or resource for straight men. Not one. It's tough to believe, isn't it? The nearest support group for male survivors of childhood sexual assault is in Northampton, headed up by Mike Liu, a man largely seen as one of the few experts in this field. This support group meets Thursday evenings. I leave here after lunch to avoid the traffic. It's a 3-hour drive round trip. For me, this journey began 6 years ago when I suffered a near-death cardiac incident that resulted in me flatlining, undergoing emergency open heart surgery, a coma, and months of intensive medical care followed by a long recovery. Many of you know the story. This community played a heroic role in holding my family together and holding us up. Indeed, this community provided the shelter from that storm. And that's when the memories first started to surface. Over the next months and years, long repressed memories from the past bubbled up. The memories that started as a trickle surged into a flood, completely overwhelming me. It hit me like a sledgehammer. I remembered being sexually assaulted as a child. In an instant, my lifetime was erased. The foundation of security and family and everything I knew that kept me going for decades was swiftly knocked out from under me, leaving me devastated and broken. Unsure if what I remembered was right or wrong, I was not who I thought I was. I was in crisis, and I went into a free fall. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep, I didn't see people. I didn't leave my house for days or weeks at a time. The darkness was so consuming that it's difficult to explain now, but it was clear then. I was broken, shattered. And at the lowest point of my life, Michelle and I turned to the mental health system in Massachusetts, utterly lost, desperate, and very much afraid. I needed help, and I needed it now. And we learned the reality that when a man like me, affected by childhood trauma I suddenly remembered, is in crisis, there is no help to be found. When I was overwhelmed with shame, fear, and rage, the absence of help reinforced my feeling of worthlessness. The numbers tell the story. At least 1 in 6 boys will experience sexual abuse before turning 18. And on average, male survivors delay disclosure for 20 years. The number for women is even more shocking. It's 1 in 4. The Me Too movement, which we've heard so much about, and other female-focused resources often seem to assume that all men are predators. And the reality is that 1 in 6 of us was prey. To put it in context, there are likely as many American men who have experienced childhood sexual abuse as there are men who develop prostate cancer. But while one rightfully sparks national fundraising efforts and awareness campaigns, the other lurks silently in the shadows, shrouded by shame. It is shame that keeps men quiet about child sexual assault. The shame of identifying as a victim and the fear of what others will think about their loss of control, something that men are taught we should always be in. Bechukotai. This final chapter in the book of Leviticus is where the concept of tzedakah is introduced. The Jewish concept of tzedakah is not based on charity, but upon justice. Tzedakah is justice in action. And here at TBE, we take tzedakah personally. One of the most generous acts of justice that we can perform is to create a safe space where unspeakable things can be spoken about. And that starts by breaking the silence. If not now, when? It is not okay that a male victim of sexual assault has nowhere to turn. Absolutely no resources. It sends a message. If there is no help for me, then I must not be worth helping. The trauma victim is then re-traumatized and re-victimized. The good news is that after being confronted with this reality, there seems to be a sort of collective shock about our mental health field's own shortcomings. Some of our city's leading mental health services are listening, and they're taking steps to address this gross lack of care. McLean Hospital, its leaders are watching on the stream right now, recognize that gap in support and are moving very quickly to learn about the need and provide the help. Likewise, BARC, the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center, is training its staff to support male survivors and is also holding 2 days of healing specifically for men. And I'm deeply thankful to these organizations. It's a start. The more we talk about this, the more help there will be for men like me. I used to think that there were no men like me. Anyone as tortured and broken as me must be dead or in prison or a predator or living on the streets. Otherwise, there would be help. But I was wrong. There are men like me. There are too many. I know there are men like me in this community, in this room. The single most important thing I can say to them is this: you're not alone. You are not the only one. You can be helped, You should be helped, and you deserve to be helped. You are worth helping. You do not have to suffer in silence. We are not alone. We have a voice, and we have a face, and we have worth. Yes, I struggle with PTSD. It has not been easy for me or for my family. The daily triggers are a constant challenge. Healing is hard work, but it doesn't render me speechless. I'm going to give voice to those men suffering in silence because we can and we must provide the help that they need. I am what a survivor of childhood sexual assault looks like. I will be seen and I will be heard. I will be helped and I will help others. Hineni, I am here. By talking about this, we lessen the shame. Abuse happens in secret, and by remaining silent, we compound the secrecy and shame. Breaking the silence is crucial to lessening the stigma to allow healing. I've learned a lot over the past 2 years. The most important is this: you're never too far gone to be helped. You're never too broken to be put back together. It's never too late to reclaim your life, and it's never too late to heal. When the abuse happened, I became a victim, and now I have become a survivor. I survived what should have killed me, but a broken boy doesn't have to be a shattered man. We usually pray about a promised land, and that the way there passes through the wilderness, and the only way through is by joining hands and marching together. Well, let me tell you, the wilderness can be dark and scary, but I know what's on the other side, and I see it here tonight. My therapist dreams of a day without support groups. I dream of the opposite. Support groups in every community, synagogue, church, community center, school, anywhere where help is needed so men no longer suffer alone in silence, where there is a way for these men to rebuild their lives and their worlds with strength and dignity and love.
Before you begin, Jody, I just want to say thank you. And I was thinking as you were speaking, we were counting the Omer this week and reflecting on the word courage. And you embody that word. So thank you for bringing voice to this issue that allows us to act and make a difference. And I want to thank again Jody Blankstein, cantorial soloist Jody, for being here. She's going to share some words that I know are important to you as you have grown and healed in your journey. So let's be seated and enjoy this moment of love and reflection.